Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a super special guest today. His work uses bright and bold colors and which reflects his training as an animator and graphic designer. He works in a pop style, employing cartoonish figures and playful compositions to describe ordinary scenes of life under the lens of a bright color palette. His experience has allowed him to develop a unique style of illustration centered around quirky figures who live in their own super stylized universe. Please join me in welcoming Sebastian Curi. Welcome.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the introduction.
My pleasure. Are you ready for 20 questions?
I'm ready. I'm ready. Good.
Great. Question one, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
So I draw for a living. Sometimes on a pencil and paper. Sometimes with acrylic and paintings. Sometimes the computer. Sometimes they move. Sometimes they're static. Yeah, that's
Great.
me.
Great. Yeah. Just a note for our audience. Sebastian and I don't know each other, but he's coming to me through another great podcaster named Martina Flor, who had him as a
Oh,
guest as well. Yeah, much gratitude for that
yeah,
intro.
she's
So,
great.
yeah, great. Question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Um, Ta-da. So many, maybe. I'm a bit weird. I studied post-production and animation. I worked there on several studios in Latin America and Europe and United States and Canada. But I'm not doing anything of that. I just do illustration. So that's kind of like a weird background for an artist nowadays. I'm an Argentinian, so Spanish speaking, but my work is all in English. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Great. Just one more note for the audience. It sounds like Sebastian's working all over the world, but you're based in LA right now, aren't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've been living here for the last 3 years, 4 years.
Great. Okay. Number three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Oh, I just love what I do. It's fun. It's just fun. It makes a living. Um, what else? I don't know. It's just like a fun job that I found very casually, or little by little. I've been changing what I do, and nowadays it fits me, perfectly. I like the lifestyle that I have, that is balanced with the work that I have. And illustration is so fun. You get to draw a bunch of stuff. Um, Everything that I do is based on the work that I previously was doing. A lot of personal drawing. It's just the kind of work that I've been trying to create, for the last year. So people usually connect with that, and then they send me an email asking for some kind of project. It could be a commission, it could be a collaboration, it could be something that they want. And they just get a print, get a painting, get a mural, get a set of illustrations for a brand, boys, stuff like that. So it's very diverse, um, and chill. Relax. You have a studio, grab a coffee. It's beautiful.
Great. As our audience knows, we're an audio podcast, but Sebastian's got his video on and I can see, his great brightly colored outfit and super cool studio space. And it
Oh
sounds
yeah.
like he's really living his endeavors here. So this is super cool to see.
It's quite cold today in LA, and this studio has a tall ceiling. It's great on summer because it's very cool, but in winter it gets super cold. So I'm using the coat today, at least in the morning. We get more sunshine and a bit warmer.
Great. So number four is sometimes a difficult question to answer, but it's simply, what does your future look like?
No, impossible to know. Who knows? Hopefully the close future. Maybe this week. We We are painting some new sketches that I have. I'm finishing some commissions, some stuff for magazines and newspapers. Um, uh, and then just projects, I'm doing a series of objects for designers with an Argentinian brand. So it's nice to work with someone from my home country. It's been a while since I do that, and we're doing, I don't know, just like um, bags, and well, it's actually a single bag, pretty big. So you could fit like a bunch of stuff, like a huge tote bag, kind of like the IKEA one. Um, Something very utilitarian, functional. And then we're doing a bunch of paper blocks to draw, and they're very simple, but I'm putting my time to try to design something nice there. And then that's it, just like living, exercise, um, eating healthy, something fun maybe over the weekends. And that's it.
Good stuff. Okay, so number
Yeah,
five
the
is
good
good for
stuff.
you.
Yeah.
Number five is good for you because you're in LA. So the question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
LA, yeah, LA is a great scene. I love it. We have lived with my wife in a couple places over the last 6, 7 years, and we like LA because it has a very vibrant culture, a lot of art. Mm, we it's very diverse, so we get to hang out with a lot of friends that come and go. We find the locals very friendly. It has a Latino vibe that makes me feel close to home, but this is still way different than Argentina, so it's very unexpected, and every day I have that novelty factor in my life. Weather is amazing, really. Um, what else? I don't know. Food is great. Museums, stuff like that. We love it. We love uh going to concerts. Watch bands. Like that.
Great, great. Okay, number six. If you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
Um, maybe maybe start. With what you have. It's a good advice. I'd like to. I maybe studied too many careers. I worked in too many studios before jumping to do my own thing, and maybe I could have done that before. Um, you don't need to be you need to be excellent, what you do to enjoy it. And I don't feel anybody is the best. It's not about that. It's more about putting something that has value. And you can find a wide spectrum, stuff that you can execute and enjoy and make a living of that. Um, that on one hand. On the other hand, very important, exercise. Uh, I have worked a lot of years in the television industry and the animation industry, and they can be very stressful. Advertising a lot, a lot of times, and just exercising, keeping hours, uh, hopefully low, um, and just try to keep it healthy. Eat well, take your time, hang out with friends, all that stuff. Sometimes we get too much worry about making a living, and we don't live, you know.
Absolutely. Number seven, what's a day in your life like? Maybe you can talk about a day in the podcast, sorry, in the studio there.
Um, a day in my life. So I usually try to have a routine that changes a bit every day. We wake up with my wife. We go to a coffee shop close to the studio, grab a coffee. Sometimes we sit there and we get something. Sometimes we chat about the day, chat about the week. We plan, stuff, and then we go to the studio. I'm an early person, so I like to work in the morning. That's what I usually do, sketching and ideation for most of the project. Sometimes we have creative calls or interviews or stuff like this. And then at lunch, we have a break lunch that we take at our home. So our studio and our home, they're pretty close. So we take a break, cook, have lunch, and then come back maybe 2 hours later. Work 4 hours more until 6, 7, 5, depends on the day. Some days we have exercise in the afternoon, 3 days a week. So we work less, exercise more. Um, and that's it, you know. And then that's the day. We go home, maybe do groceries. We cook quite a lot because my wife used to be a cook, so we enjoy to do that together. And then we watch a movie maybe. We love to watch movies and series. We're big fans of a lot of the stuff that is around, so we like to chill at home with our dog and just couch.
Number 8, I'm curious about, and I think probably our audience is too. I haven't heard you respond to this, but lifelong learning is a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
What's that? Can you repeat the question?
Sure, yeah. Lifelong learning is a popular topic these days. How do you stay up to date?
Lifelong learning. I don't know what's that actually. Sorry.
Well,
What's
just
that?
continuing to learn, even if you're not in school.
Ah,
How do you do that?
I think I'm just wired like that. Yeah, I'm not. Maybe that makes me different. It connects to that one. So maybe because of my background that I studied these careers that are very different, and then um, I just started working in one thing, and then I kept moving through a bunch of the stuff that you could find on a production pipeline, on animation, on television, on illustration, graphic design, all those, places, industries. I've been doing just different positions from compositing, 3D shots, VFX, live action, 2D illustration, After Effects animation, still character animation, frame by frame, like just a bunch of stuff. So I like to learn. I'm very curious. I get bored really easily. Now I do acrylic painting on canvas, kind of like super old school for the stuff that I was doing. But I'm kind of intrigued with the AI stuff that is going around, and I was playing a bit with that, uh, or just reading books. I don't know. I'm just curious, and uh, I like to find new things. I think that's exciting. It never stops.
We recently had a great guest on, Alex Churchud, who was also talking about using AI tools with work that I would call it is that at least aesthetically similar to you. That's definitely a trend that we're up against now. We're almost halfway here. So number 9, what tools do you use? It sounds like you're both digital and analog.
Yeah, I think every art. It's just hard to find someone that actually doesn't use any of the other one, just because I don't know, we have cell phones, and and maybe Photoshop is so easy, or I don't know. But yeah, I'm very mixed media. Kind of like Alex. Um, yeah, I find very comfortable just to work with computer. Maybe it's because I've been working with computer for most of the time. Um, but yeah, I actually try to mix them. I feel it's healthy. Sometimes your work changes because you're working on analog medium, and then you just go with those errors, and that creates unexpected results. Sometimes you need something more control, or you have a very clear idea, but it's very complex, and maybe tackle that with the computer is easier. Um, Sometimes I'm just lazy, sit at the computer, do that. Sometimes I feel um, bored, and I want to work in pencil and paper, and that for me is a huge change because I've been working with computers for um, I'm the worst with years, but maybe 15, 18 years. So it's nice to change the pace of it, and change the medium. That's the easiest way to create something new.
Great. Okay, halfway. Number 10, how do you deal with work-life balance?
I'm very disciplined nowadays. I try to, well, first I have a studio, so maybe that's the first rule, and I try to control the hours around that. Um, my studio, my house, different places. I exercise 3 times a week with a trainer, so he controls that part of my life, and that's great because when I don't feel excited to go and do burpees and all that stuff, he's pushing, and I am very grateful of that. Um, what else? And then I don't know. I try to work on different stuff. I don't do a lot of projects that look the same. So sometimes I do a project, within the fashion industry, kind of like a clothing collection, like the one I did with Sarah, or I can do an editorial illustration, something smaller. I could do stuff on the computer, animation, TV commercial, um, social media animations, stuff like that. Something that is very short format, something that is longer, and all that mix, it creates all the paintings. I usually work on paintings throughout the week and the silk screen prints. So just trying to change it, just it's the same work, um, but from a different angle. It's just like a different way to approach to the work, and it feels different, and that's the important part. It's healthy, so you're not all the time doing the same thing. It doesn't feel repetitive at all. It feels fun, exciting. I like to come to the studio and work.
I'll mention another great guest we had on, Roger Vanderheed, who's a C-suite designer and often says that, or said in our podcast that, his work starts when he enters the atelier, and when he closes the door, his work stops. And I imagine with your studio there, you must feel some relationship to that as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I have to say, well, there's a part that is very hands-on, execution, and production of the stuff that we do is on the studio. But if you ask me, I have to think a lot about the project that we do, and sometimes that takes most of the time. So when I leave the studio, it depends. If the project is resolved in my head, I'm fine. I can leave. And if I don't have a good idea, that's a problem. And I just leave the studio in the hour, in the time that I have to leave. But I keep thinking about that because it's just about connections. It's about you thinking this um A thing with this B thing, and maybe what you need to do is to change the scene to make that connection that is a bit more interesting than the most obvious thing that maybe you were drawing. So it depends on the day, but I'm usually thinking about the projects that I do, and I like to keep it like that. It's something that keeps me busy uh, when I have lunch or whatever. I don't disconnect that much of that. Um, but I love my work, and most of the work that I do is it's connected to the personal stuff that I want to draw. Uh, so I'm fine with that.
Great. And just a quick note for our audience again, if you're liking this episode, be sure to check out our upcoming episode with Timothy Goodman. He also works large scale with these bright, vibrant colors in his kind of illustrative work. That'll be a really good kind of treat for us when he comes on. So yeah. Number 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Mm, well, maybe if I stay in Argentina, I will be doing more of more like a classical animation director position, maybe a studio there, because I was doing quite a lot of motion graphics, and I love that. Or maybe anything related to arts. I really like. I like plants a lot, so gardening maybe something about that, or like a cook. I love cooking, and I read about food and cooks and restaurants, and it's just I don't know. I'm very into the food industry.
Nice. And number 12, what would you not like to do with your career?
Like, will not like
Yeah,
to do.
not like to do.
Um, well, I think I'm headed more into a direction where the studio or me, I try to put work on social media and exhibitions, and places that I'm interesting to produce. And I try to find people that is like-minded and they resonate with that kind of work, and we collaborate towards that kind of stuff. Last year, or 2 years ago, maybe I started doing a lot of hand drawings because I felt connected to that topic, and little by little, I started doing more of that. And maybe today, it's one of the biggest things that I do. Um, and I like that fact. I like to try my career in that sense. I wouldn't like to do commissions that are not related to the things that I put. Um, so nowadays maybe I have a bigger spectrum. My portfolio is very wide, but I like to keep things fresh. So I try to create work that feels fresh, and because of that, it has to be new and it has to be driven by the new stuff that I've been doing. So sometimes it's hard to come back to projects that I did maybe 5 years ago. Um, and I don't know, I just try to, create a space where I can debate the project and see if the direction of the client or whatever, is on the other side and me are um harmonic, you know. So I would love to continue in that direction. Whatever is the other side or the opposite, I always try to dodge that.
I was at a lecture a couple nights ago here in Vancouver with Omar Arbel, and he was talking about how he's a service provider as a creative and how he tries to move away from that as much as possible. It's super interesting to see your space and see the big work there that looks like you may have just made it without a brief or a client. It's just part of your making. So yeah, that's a super good kind of relationship there. So now we're at number 13. What's your favorite word, quote, or sentence?
I don't know. Favorite? I don't know. I read quite a lot. I really like Bob Gill books. The English designer that used to be part of Pentagram before was Pentagram.
Mhm.
So everything that he says, I think, is just fucking clever at one
Mhm.
point. And I love to read Nico Glaser books.
Mhm.
I really like his style and how he just navigated through the illustration industry.
Mhm.
But I found his books are just full of knowledge, and it's kind of like weird to um see how we have the same problems than a person that was doing work in the 70s or
Mhm.
80s. And it's kind of like crazy. Uh, I don't know. I don't read a lot about quotes and phrases because I feel they are very simple, and sometimes you have to dig deeper. And I prefer maybe books, and it's just like something that is longer. Uh, but yeah, any of those books, I think. I would really enjoy to read again.
And how about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Uh, that one I have because I've been struggling with that one a lot. There is one, forget my English. There is one that it said something like, king of, what is like you know everything, but you don't know anything. Help me with this one. What is the king of assets or king of, no, not assets, it's king of, I'm trying to translate the Spanish version of it. Do you know which one I am talking about?
I'm not sure.
Let me try to Google. It's something master of trades. Cool. It's a jack of all trades is master of none.
No, yeah, right. It's a good.
That one. We say as in English for bud and as for it's like cards play in Spanish. So I was like assets is not assets.
No.
So got that on the podcast. Yeah, a jack of all of trades and is a master of none. You know, it's something that I've been told all my life, just because my background is on post production
Mm.
and I been working on animation and then I did graphic design. But then doing animation is just a way different thing. And when I was doing illustration, I never did proper drawing classes.
Mm.
And now that I'm trying, I'm doing fine arts, you know, I'm painting, stuff like that. Again, you know, I'm jumping. Um, and I feel is just BS, you know, you can do whatever you want. You spend the amount of time that you want with that stuff. And I feel everything adds up. And it's also more fun, you know, just to repeat the same small task that you have ahead is very boring
Mm.
and unhealthy. So I feel that a diverse set of skills is great. You know, I will recommend anyone that experiment a lot and just do a bunch of stuff and try to think from different angles and try to just be curious. You know, just keep it like that. I think that's a better way to make a living. You know, and to go around work and rather than be very specific, study one thing, you know, and do, I don't know, whatever thing you want to do um, your whole life, lots of years ahead.
Good stuff. Okay, number 15, if you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what word would you choose?
One word. um, I don't know. Happy, joyful. Yeah, I think I have like a very positive energy usually. So yeah, you'll usually gonna find me. You're usually gonna find me uh, kind of like in this um, tone and mood.
What keeps you up at night?
No, I sleep super hard. Nothing really. No, my life is good nowadays. Of course, you know, I have had problems on my life, but luckily these days we're just fine. We enjoy our life and our work is good and we're healthy and my family is fine and my friends are fine, you know. So luckily nowadays I'm just enjoying life.
What's a dream you're chasing?
Um, I think complete honestly, you know, I got the dream, dude. I'm a Latin American person, low class, having a studio in Los Angeles, working for the clients that I want and doing the kind of projects that I wanted for so many years. Um, and I don't know. I have my wife. You know, I work with my wife, so we are friends, and she's my partner on everything. We have a small sausage dog. I don't know. I suppose that so many years of hard work, you know, and study and stuff like that, just little by little added stuff to my life that today they feel great, and I am really happy with the stuff that surrounds me. So I actually don't have anything. It's not that I'm not pursuing, but I think um, if you think in terms of dreams and you put these goals that are um, huge, ahead, it can be really stressful. It can lead to the wrong decision. I always try to add comfort to my life to create a better version of me, both like personally and professionally. And and I don't have any dream project, dream client that I actually I'm pursuing. I just want to deep digger into the work that I'm doing, uh, find stuff that keeps me exciting there. Um, Keep coming to the studio. Studio is beautiful, and I love how it shapes my work, and it gives me just a structure. It's kind of like this castle fort, that gives me time for personal projects and structure for commissions. And I think this is just like taking care of this thing that I have. Maybe that's a dream.
Great. Final stretch, number 18. What inspires you?
Um, just like yeah, I like to go around and just watch stuff. That's inspiring.
Any advice you'd like to share?
Read more. I think there is a lot to learn in stuff that it's on the past. I don't have a formal education on fine arts, and my education in graphic design it's uh, it's also pretty poor. And as an animator, I also struggle a lot trying to study stuff because in Buenos Aires it's kind of hard to study something uh, animation related. Uh, and I found that books are amazing. They have deep knowledge. You could do a lot of tutorials. I done it, and technical knowledge. Maybe it's easier in that way. But books they stick with you. They're universal. So yeah, just get a Bob Gill book. You're gonna find something amazing there for sure.
Good stuff. And number 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you? What should we be checking out from you?
What's that? Sorry.
It's a call to action. How can we follow you, or what do you want us to look at that you're doing
Oh,
now?
sure. Sorry. Yeah, I usually, I actually, I'm doing a bunch of stuff there, but right now I'm working with my social media channels and all that. But I have an Instagram account, and then I have a Twitter account. And yesterday I started a newsletter, just because the kind of commercial work that I do is very different but not very different, but the way to approach it, to the paintings and original works that we are doing at the studio. So I usually post everything on social media that has a lot of the commercial collaborations that I do, exhibitions, paintings. It's just like the day to day, like a journal. And then on Twitter, just because of the format and it's less restrictive, it's a bit more loose, so it has a bit more of the sketches. And I post maybe twice a day or 3 times a day. Um, but it's very informal. Sometimes I don't post anything. And on the newsletter, I plan to show new paintings. When I finish a painting, we sell the paintings through the website. Uh, and sometimes it's just hard to show a painting because it's so tangible. It's this object that through a screen is kind of hard to see and appreciate. So I'm trying to work around that, trying to create a space, digital space, a newsletter maybe, where people can maybe uh, send me an email, and ask me stuff, or just a channel, to try to see what happens there, and try to understand better how can I show the work if it's not galleries, because galleries are already there, but I wanted something more personal, just me, without any middleman. So those three: Instagram, Twitter, and the newsletter.
Great. Yeah, before the episode, I was checking out your online shop, and there's some really beautiful prints up there that I almost just impulse bought something. Pretty close to doing that. So
Oh, thank you,
yeah.
man. Send me an email. Send me an email.
Great. Okay. But thank you so much for joining. You've got a kind of ideal life there, beautiful studio, good setup, and you're super happy. But you've come from these kind of basic roots. And I think that kind of story is super inspiring for some of our audience who need to know that this kind of life is a possibility for them. And I think you really encourage that with this episode. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Thomas. Thank you for inviting me. You were so quiet. I didn't know that the podcast was like this. I never speak so much.
Oh,
Thank you for being such a good listener.
thank you so much.
Yeah.